What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about all the catches that wide receivers struggle with. So we're going to be talking about over-the-shoulder catches, diving catches, low catches, everything that wide receivers struggle with when it comes to catching a pass. We're going to be breaking down the right technique, some of the mistakes that wide receivers will make, and we're going to give you some drills towards the end of this video to work on each one of the skills that we have discussed. So I hope this video helps you guys out. It's going to give you a ton of value. But also, fellas, if you're a receiver and you would like to train with us this offseason, we are coming out to 15 different states across the U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. So check out that very first link in the description below if you want to learn how you can sign up, get more information to work with myself and my staff of coaches. We're going to be coming out to San Francisco, California. That camp is completely sold out, but then we'll be heading out to Miami, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, Portland, Oregon, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, Buffalo, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Michigan, Boise, Idaho, and Los Angeles, California. So again, if you would like some more information, want to know how you can train with us, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get back to this video. All right, so the first type of catch that I want to talk about is an over-the-shoulder catch. So we're going to be showing a few different examples of an over-the-shoulder catch, some things that you want to keep in mind while making an over-the-shoulder catch, and then we're going to get into some drills that can help you guys with this specific catch. So first things first, anytime you're catching a pass over the shoulder, is you have to be late with your hands. So what do I mean by late with your hands? And this example here from Stefon Diggs is a perfect example of having late hands. So ball's thrown over the top, thrown with some touch, whether you're running just a straight up fade, maybe you're running a deep post, maybe you're running a corner, and you got a DB who's trailing you right on your hip, whether it's man coverage, maybe you beat a zone coverage, whatever it is. But when that ball is thrown, you do not want to let this DB know where that ball is going to be because he is not running with his head turned. He's not a receiver. Sometimes that DB will time it and will get his head around and be able to make a play on the ball. Maybe the sideline gives him a ball call, maybe another player does. Maybe he's able to anticipate it by what the wide receiver does, giving away the route. But more importantly, you want late hands so he doesn't know where to punch when that ball makes contact with your hands. So you see how Diggs here, he's not raising his hands up to the ball. He's not lifting up to the ball. He is catching that thing about chest level. Now, do I like that? Would I teach a young receiver to catch this thing like off of his chest plate like this? Probably not, right? You always want to catch this thing rule of thumb with your hands, especially on an over-the-shoulder pass. But again, you see how late he is with the flash of his hands. That's the number one key because you see so many wide receivers, they'll reach out for the ball. They'll go extend, especially when they're going over the middle and catching in traffic while they're getting hit. And we're going to talk about that as this video goes on. But we just cannot let this DB know where the ball is. If we're late with my hands, I can just put this thing away, secure it, and this DB has no idea where to punch this ball out. And by that time, I am already secured. And you see exactly how he's trying to punch this thing out. Imagine if we showed it early. Imagine if we gave him an extra second of time to be able to do that. He might be able to get that PBU. So anytime that it's an over-the-shoulder pass, fellas, make sure that we trust my eyes and catch this thing late. Now, how late do we want to be, right? You don't want to be catching this thing below the waist. I would say you don't want to be catching this thing eye level either. You want to be in this sweet spot right here by your chest, by your midsection, if you will, but nothing below the waist because that's a good way to drop the ball, and then nothing above your head because that's a good way to showcase exactly where that ball is going to be to the DB. Not to mention, you keeping your arm running as long as possible will help you catch up to a pass that's thrown maybe a few yards in front of you. So now, before we get into some drills for over-the-shoulder catches, there's another thing that I want to talk about with over-the-shoulder passes that can help you not allow a DB to catch up to us. So this is an example of Devonta Smith running like a hitch-and-go route, right? So anytime, if I'm running a double move, or even if I'm giving a press release off the ball, we do not want to slow down by looking back for the ball too early. This is one of the biggest mistakes that wide receivers, I feel, make anytime that they are running a route downfield is they'll look back way too quick. And when you're running with your head looking this way and you're running here downfield, you're automatically slower. So let's play this thing full speed. That's what I'm talking about. So Smith runs this little double move, gets this DB to bite, and you see how he keeps his head down. He's trying to maintain, again, when you have a quarterback who's very talented, all you need is a step of separation. You don't need 5-6 yards. You just need a step of separation. And when you're going up against a DB who's fast, who has good technique, because this DB did not play it badly. Like, he's in a decent spot to make a play on this. Just Smith ran this route perfectly. There is no defense for a perfect route. If we do everything correctly as a wide receiver, that can set us up for success in any situation. Now, again, I know this video is about catching. I know this video is about not dropping passes, but this is something that allows DBs to make a play and help us and cause a lot of receivers to drop passes. Guys will work a double move. They'll come off the ball. They'll drop. And then as soon as they get that DB to hesitate for a second, they think they beat him and they look back for the ball. If that DB knows he got beat, he is putting his head down. He is running as hard as he can to try to catch up to us. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen. We get him to hesitate. I get open for a little bit. I want to stay open. Let's keep my head down. Let's pump my arms and let's not look back until I got him. Now, obviously, a lot of this depends on situation. You're in the middle of the field, you could probably keep your head down a little bit longer because that quarterback's got more space to throw. You're in the red zone like this, you probably want to look back a little bit earlier. You're on the goal line, you probably don't want to keep your head down at all. You probably do want to look back right away. I'm talking middle of the field, red zone, not on the goal line, not within 5 yards. You've got to keep that head down to separate. Because if we let that DB catch up, that's a great opportunity for him to make that PBU, regardless if I have late hands or not when I'm running a route downfield. Now, one last thing with an over-the-shoulder catch, and like I said, we're going to get to some drills that you could do. But with this over-the-shoulder catch, there's a hell of a catch here by Michael Thomas. I want you to pay attention to his eyes. Guys, I'm willing to bet probably 95% of the drops that wide receivers have, whether it's a slant over the middle or whether it is a deep fade and the ball hits their hands, 95% of the time, I would say, it is because they're not looking the ball in properly. This is a perfect example of how you want to look the ball all the way in. So Michael Thomas, ball's thrown over the shoulder. I want you to pay attention to his eyes on this catch. The only thing in his line of vision when that football hits his hands is the football. He is not looking at the ball and then worried about stepping out of bounds. He's not looking at the ball and looking at the defender, looking at the sideline. The only thing in his line of vision is the football. So I call this like a photo frame catch. Like you guys all have probably seen, at somebody's house, whatever, they got a table and they got like a portrait of somebody, like whether it's their kid or whatever. That kid or whoever's in the picture takes up the whole picture. So you want a picture frame catch of the football. The only thing in your line of vision, like it's a photo frame, is that football. That's the only thing you should be seeing. And when you look that ball in, you see it make contact with your hands. That is how we can secure it. Like I said, 95% of the time, I think all drops happen because guys worry about other external things like the guy getting in bounds. And they look the ball in, or at least they think they do, but they don't take a picture of the ball with their eyes. You have to take that photo, get that photo frame catch to make sure that we are more consistent with the ball. And not to mention on over-the-shoulder catches, I want you to pay attention to how close he had his pinkies together. I would say the 5% of why wide receivers drop over-the-shoulder passes is their hands are too wide and that ball just goes right through the middle. You want to try to keep, just like how when you catch normally, they talk about a diamond, like catching a diamond, keep your thumb and your index connected. With over-the-shoulder passes, let's keep my pinkies connected. If I keep my pinkies connected, that ball won't fall through the middle. And if I look it in properly, I will be much more consistent. So now let's get to a drill for this, okay? So now, a hell of a play there by Michael Thomas, but let's get to a drill. So a great drill that you can do, and I'll give you a solo version of this in a second if you don't have a partner to throw to you. But let's say you got a partner, your dad, your brother, your mom, sister, whatever. This is a very simple drill. It doesn't require a whole lot of skill to be in this position, right? So what you're doing is you're going to have your hands running, you're looking over his shoulder, and you're going to have a partner throw a tennis ball over your shoulder like he's throwing a deep pass. Now, why are we doing this with a tennis ball? There's an advanced variation to this drill as well that I'm going to talk about. But why are we doing this with a tennis ball? It's harder to catch a smaller ball than it is a bigger football. So you do this with a football, still great, still good work. You're still getting better. But with a tennis ball, it makes it 10 times harder, and you're only going to be catching it with one hand. So you're going to be catching it with just your right hand. Then if you switch sides, your partner goes over here, it'll just be with your left hand. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I do with my hands when he lets go of the ball. He throws the ball, I clap him twice behind my back. Why do I do that? Well, so number one, when you clap them twice, it makes it a little bit more challenging having to keep your eye on the ball while you are being distracted by, or quote unquote distracted by having to clap your hands twice. But also, it helps with being late with your hands. Because again, you're clapping, you have to clap twice. You cannot just clap once. Clap twice as soon as you see him let go of the ball. And that forces us to have to be late with my hands because that's the timing that I have to get my hand up there. If I'm not late with my hands, I'm either going to miss the ball or I'm not going to be able to clap twice. So it works on having late hands. It works on hand-eye coordination, and it makes it much tougher to track a smaller object. So this is a very easy drill that you guys can do. Now, what's a variation of doing this by yourself? Let's say you don't have a partner. because I know a lot of you guys asked me that question. You could get this tennis ball, stand with your back up against a tall wall, toss the tennis ball over the top of your head. Have your eyes looking forward too. Toss the tennis ball over the top of your head, off of the wall. When you hear it make contact with the wall, then you look up and track it and catch it with one hand. But you do it when you hear it, not when you let go of the ball. If you do it when you let go of the ball, that's easy. So that's a solo version of this drill that you guys can do. But this is a very, very simple drill to work on over-the-shoulder catches that you do not require, you don't need a guy who could throw the ball a million yards to be able to do that type of drill. Okay, so now, next example we're going to be talking about is a diving catch, and then we're going to be giving you a drill for a diving catch. So let's talk about this example here. Now, this could have been a drop. I actually don't remember if this was a drop or not, but I want to talk about what this receiver does wrong, and then we're going to go over a drill for it. So he's running this like whip route. Ball was thrown. He dives for the ball. But guys, when we dive for the ball, and sometimes, you can't like realistically do this. I think he maybe could have a little bit. But when you're doing a diving catch and you catch the ball and you secure it, but you land on the ball, and that makes contact with the ground, that's usually what causes the ball to pop out. What you want to do is anytime that you're catching a diving pass, whether that's a slant over the middle, whether it's like a whip route, an out route like this example, you catch it and you want to try to almost roll in either direction. You could roll this way, you could roll this way, and have your body, the back side of your body, hit the ground first so the ball doesn't make contact with the ground and potentially fall out. So anytime that you have to do a diving catch, that's what I recommend doing. So let's play this thing full speed. And again, like I said, sometimes you may not be able to. But we want to try to build an instinct of that with these types of drills. So what you could do is you need a partner for this one. And again, if you don't have a partner for this, I recommend doing this drill specifically with a tennis ball. Bounce it off of a wall from a kneeling position. And then when you catch it, you're going to see the rest of this drill. But what your partner is going to do, he's going to throw this ball out in front of you. You're going to be kneeling down. And we're just going to be working on the diving catch. So he throws it in front, you catch it, you dive, and you see how I turn as I make contact with this. Now, this is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done because this grass is extremely hard. It's like just doing it on dirt. So don't do it on a surface like this. You can do this on like a bed, like a mat, a high jump pit, whatever it is, or really soft grass. But do not do this on hard grass. Very, very dumb thing that I did because it's hurt like hell. But when you throw this ball and you catch it, you're focused on turning and having your shoulder land, your backside land before the football lands. We don't want the football to make contact with the ground because that's how it pops out. And that's honestly how they could call a drop if they see any type of movement with it. So this is a very easy drill that you can do. Like I said, recommend doing this on a softer surface so we could get more comfortable with it. Okay, so now next catch we're going to be talking about is a catch in traffic. So what Higgins is going to be running here is he's running a curl. And while he's coming back to the quarterback on a curl, he's going to be having a linebacker run straight at him. This is a very tough situation that a lot of receivers struggle with because it's tough, man. Like going over the middle and you're going to get popped, coming back to the ball, knowing that there's a potential that you could get popped. What do you do? So obviously you got to focus on the ball. You have to look it in. That's a given. But there's one simple tip that I think all wide receivers should do when they're catching over the middle, catching in traffic. Bring the ball violently to the tuck. So what do I mean by that? So he's coming out here, runs this curl, runs a great route, catches it, but brings it to the tuck right away. Because he knows he's going to be getting contact, whether it's guy from the top, whether it's guy running at him. So as soon as he secures that ball, you see how he looks it in properly. But what does he do? Right to the tuck. As violently and as quickly as he can. Because if you're going to take a hit, you might as well catch the ball. You're going to get hit regardless, so you might as well just hang on to it. So to secure the ball, catch it, tuck it as violently as you can. So what can you do to work on this? Pretty simple, guys. When you're warming up with a quarterback and he's throwing to you, catch it, bring it violently to the tuck. Work your eyes, look the ball in, take that photo, but let's bring the ball violently to the tuck so I get in this good habit. So when I'm catching over the middle, which is something receivers at the slot position outside have to do consistently, we have this habit built up. So, because again, if he catches this thing, you see so many wide receivers catch it, and they catch it away from themselves like so, but they hold it out away from themselves. And 7-on-7 freaking ruins people because they'll hold the ball almost one hand at times. You get popped, that ball is coming out. And guys, these are the types of possession catches that we need to make in order to stand out to a coach.